the blood moon theory, that is one of the key years there as well. It is held true, the Abrahamic covenant from ancient Egypt. We don't have time to go into the detail today because we're moving up all the way up to 1492. What about from 1492 to the 20th century? Does the secret from Ur of Chaldea 4,000 years ago hold true today? And what's happening now, or what is happening in modern times? We started with, or we're going to start where we left off, 1492. The Jewish people have known a kind of refuge in Spain, but it's gotten increasingly bad for them there. And finally, Ferdinand and Isabella, they finish what's called the Reconquista, which is the reconquering of Spain from the Muslims, but in the process, they go against the Jews. And they declare all Jews must convert to Catholicism, or they will be driven out. They must leave. They're going to flee Spain. No more Jews in Spain, or we kill them. That's what happened. This is the Ferdinand Isabella we read about in the history books growing up. But there's a cool thing here, because at the same moment in history, when the greatest refuge that the Jewish people had, which was Spain, when it ends, the same week in the harbors of Spain, as the Jewish people are fleeing on ships and boats for their lives, in the same harbor are 3 ships, the ships of Christopher Columbus, on that same week, getting ready to set sail. And the fact is, and the first thing that Columbus records in his diary is that it was in the time when when Ferdinand and Isabella, when they issued this decree, when they issued that all the Jews were to be expelled, that's when he got ready to set sail. And the day that I did a message a little while back, it's called the 9th of Av Mystery, because all these great calamities in Jewish history, or so many, have happened on the same exact day, the day when the temples of God was destroyed twice on that day. You see that the same thing with the expulsion from Spain, the edict, it happens on that day. In August of 1492, at the very beginning, they have to get out of Spain. The very next day, the day after the 9th of Av, the very day after, the very next day, Columbus sets sail, and he discovers America by accident. And why is that significant? It's amazing, because the God of Israel is so amazing that here you have the Jewish people lose their greatest homeland in the world, Spain, after Israel. And what happens on the next day, God sends ships out of the same harbor, and they discover America, which will become the greatest homeland in the future as a refuge for the Jewish people. Same time, same place, same year, same week, the day after. God is in all these things. So now the Jewish people flee Spain. Where do they go? They go to Poland. That's one of them. One of the things they go, and they go also to the Ottoman Empire. They flee to the east. Now, the Ottoman Empire is an Islamic land. It took over the Byzantine Empire. It is called the Empire of the Turks. Turkey comes out of it. This was led by sultans. Well, the sultan issues a formal invitation to the Jews expelled from Spain and Portugal. And they begin arriving in massive numbers. Now, it's an Islamic nation, and yet they are blessing Israel. The Sultan was said to have said this about Ferdinand and Isabella. He said, "You call Ferdinand a wise king who makes his land poor and ours rich." The Jewish people were given a favored position in the Ottoman Empire. They excelled in trade and commerce and diplomacy, and they were given high positions. And so it's written, "I will bless those who bless you." What happens? The very same time that the Jewish people find refuge in the Ottoman Empire rises to unparalleled heights. In the early part of the 1500s, Sultan Selim actually expands the empire's eastern and southern frontiers dramatically into Persia, Egypt, Red Sea, captures Belgrade, conquers the Kingdom of Hungary, Central Europe, Transylvania, Baghdad, Mesopotamia, defeats the Navy defeats the Spanish Navy and takes Algeria and Tunis. The Ottoman Navy evacuates Jews from Spain to find safety, and the kingdom expands even to Vienna. And as they do, it becomes one of the strongest empires on earth. The Sultan, perhaps best known for his benevolence, blessing the Jewish people, was named Suleiman, or after Solomon, he's called the Magnificent. In 1553, he declares a law to stop the persecution of the Jews. And he uses Jewish people to prepare it. Under Suleiman, the Jewish people rise to prominence, and even his grand vizier, Suleiman asked the Pope Paul IV, to release the Jews who face prosecution or persecution under papal authority. The Pope, under pressure, releases them. Now guess, when was the golden age of the Ottoman Empire? It just so happens to reach its heights at the time when it's receiving the Jewish people that Spain expelled. The very peak under Suleiman the Magnificent. He dies in 1566. His son, Selim II, had a different attitude. While his father was called Suleiman the Magnificent, he was called Selim the Drunkard. He spent most of his times in harems. In 1576, he deported 1,000 Jews from Safad to Cyprus, and then another 500. He's deporting Jews. The next year, he recalls that he tries to take them back because they start economically declining. In 1579, the Ottomans persecute the Jews of Jerusalem. I will curse those who curse you. Guess what happens? It just so happens at the same exact time that the Ottoman Empire begins to decline. Selim would die while slipping on a wet floor